Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast. Super excited today. We've got a productivity consultant. He's a high performance coach. And what he does is he helps entrepreneurs to optimize their productivity. So I'm really excited to be talking to Michael Yeung today. Michael, hey, are you ready to rock?
Yeah, I'm ready to jam. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. You're ready to jam. Nice. So we always start off on a good note, which is a good place to start, right? So tell me, what's a story of success in your business or even in your life that we can learn from and be inspired by?
Sure. So basically, if I were to simply give you guys a quick summary on how I started my entrepreneur journey, I've moved from Hong Kong to UK to study veterinary medicine. So that's basically how I got started with personal development at the age of 18, because I was this kid who basically entered this like foreign environment. I had no confidence. I had no basically like I had huge social anxiety, and I simply wanted to basically improve myself. And afterwards, as I basically went through my veterinary course, I began starting out different side hustles and different basically side businesses. And it reached a point where I thought, wait, I'm actually earning more than what I'm doing in clinical practice. And one day it was just simply this pivotal moment where I asked myself, okay, Michael, you have to make a choice. Do you want to stay in veterinary practice, working 50 hours a week for the rest of your life, for maybe like the next 3 or 4 years? Or do you want to actually go full time and basically expand upon the vision that you want to expand on as a thought leader, as a coach, as an entrepreneur? So I'm like, option two it is. So that was 2 years ago. And right now I'm happy to be able to grow my business. Sorry for basically the fireworks. It's Chinese New Year here.
Oh, right
So
on.
yeah.
I thought it was a drummer there for a second.
It should, yeah. Anyways, excuse the noise out there. We're quite festive today, but anyways, yeah. So that was 2 years ago, and I'm quite happy that basically after a lot of risk, a lot of basically a steep learning curve that I've been on, I basically started to go from around 5 to 10K to making right now a $250,000 run rate. So that's basically where I'm at right now with my coaching business. So
Wow.
that's my win, and it's been quite a long journey.
Wow. So, you said that all of a sudden one day you just sort of had this pivotal moment, this aha thing. What was it that made you decide that this was something that you wanted to do? What was that pivotal moment for you?
So that's the thing. When I went through a personal development breakthrough course with my first coach, who is a mindset and transformational coach, what he did was that he gave me a vision. He asked me one very pivotal question, which is, Michael, if you were to write your own eulogy, what would you say? And I'm like, that hit me so hard. I'm like, yes, I'm an animal person. I love what I do, but I don't believe that that's my limit. I don't believe that that's my limit. I can help save a couple of lives, a couple of pets every single week in, week out. But if I were to be able to grow my own business and help out basically tens of thousands of people whilst exploring my bigger vision, which is to do philanthropy work with animal welfare, wildlife conservation, and basically save more lives that I can ever save as a practicing vet, that is something that I will be proud of. And even if the success rate is low, I will still go for it, because I will regret more on what I don't do than basically me trying and failing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that things basically went well, and I'm glad to be where I'm at right now.
Wow. Yeah, I know it's funny that you say that because I've heard that many times before that people, if you interview people on their last few days and you ask them what they have for regrets, and they don't regret any of the mistakes that they make. They only regret the things that they didn't do, the risks that they didn't take. Right. So it's very interesting that you kind of connect with that really young. I think a lot of people, it takes them a long time to realize that. But you mentioned that you had a mentor that was helping you through that. Where did you get that mentor or that coach or whatever what was it? Someone at your job or was it someone that you hired specifically?
So basically, he is someone that I fought like basically when first got started with all the personal development stuff, I was simply binging on YouTube videos, and one day I simply hop onto this channel. It's called Success Insiders, and this guy, he is another Asian dude who went to the UK with huge social anxiety, but then he basically immigrated from Korea to UK when he was young, and I simply connected with him, and I'm like, wait, this guy, what? Like he just speaks to me. He speaks to me about confidence, about fulfillment, about mindset, about vision, about clarity, and one day I'm like, yep, I just want to hop onto this guy's program because right now I have a job, I'm making money, I can have money to invest in myself. And eventually I just went up his value ladder and eventually started working with him. And that's how I hired my first coach. And ever since I'm just using this mentorship access to explode my business, explode my world. Like right now, I'm paying like a lot of money to work with to hire coaches in marketing, copywriting, sales, and so forth. And the power of mentorship is just amazing because if we were to distill the power of mentorship and why is it so valuable is that it's not because of the nuances and it's not because of the strategies that you learn, it's because of you compressing your timeline of success. Because right now I would say my growth is quicker than the growth of some of my mentors simply because of them teaching me their biggest lessons and
Yeah.
compressing their 5, 10, 20-year journey into maybe a 5, 10, 20-week program together. And that's why, yeah, that's how I got started.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Which is why technology grows at exponential rates. You learn from the past, you learn from the people who have already gone down the path, and then you take off from where they started, or from where they left off. I mean, so yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. But first, I want to talk about the bad note before we get into that, because
Mhm.
so now when we hit good notes, I mean, there's going to be a bad note here and there, and that's a story of maybe a failure or a mistake that you did make. I know that you've been learning from your mentors, but what about you? Like, was there a mistake that you made specifically that we can avoid so that we can grow faster and we can compress our time as well?
Sure. So basically, if it's fine with you guys, like you and your audiences, I'm simply going to take a moment and be vulnerable with you. So basically, my first business wasn't about coaching. I didn't just get into personal development, productivity, and helping people with high performance. My first business revolved around basically selling stuff online. I was in e-commerce, dropshipping, and Amazon FBA. And back then, I was simply a 19-year-old college kid trying to earn some quick money online after reading books such as Rich Dad Poor Dad and Think and Grow Rich. But back then, I knew nothing about setting boundaries, and I basically knew nothing about business. So what I ended up doing is that I invested into a lot of money into courses, into a lot of time into YouTube videos, and a lot of money into basically those products that I was trying to sell online. But nothing worked out. I was investing a lot of time and I was broke to the point where I can barely afford groceries. I'm too embarrassed to ask my parents for more pocket money. And I simply worked to the point where I stopped going to the gym. I stopped socializing and my business basically took over my life to the point where I was miserable, I was depressed, and I was burnt out. And this pattern went on for more than a year and a half to the point where I was driving like to this turning point where one day I simply was driving back from a job interview and my body just gave out when I was driving on a highway going 80 miles per hour. So I dozed off at the wheel, and right before I was about to collide with a car in front of me, I was fortunate enough to be able to swerve towards the other lane, missing it by inches. And back then I was like, I screwed up. I screwed up. There must be another way. I know winning in business requires hustle, but it doesn't mean that I need to kill myself in the process, literally. So that was where I basically started instead of focusing on working hard, grinding, and learning about business strategies to looking into high performance and productivity, which eventually lifted my business up and eventually led me to teaching other people on how to basically learn from my lessons before things go wrong on their end.
Wow. Yeah. It's crazy how you have to go solo and hit such a low note in order to really have that aha moment sometimes, right? You've got to kind of, they say that the fear of the unknown has to actually be uh, well, we do naturally fear the unknown. So the present, if you know it and it's uncomfortable, it's less uncomfortable than not knowing what's going to happen. So oftentimes, we do end up kind of spiraling down and spiraling down, and eventually you get to a point where whoa, some sort of wake up call happens. Now, when you were, one thing that I did notice is that, you were spending a lot of time learning and growing and putting money into courses and all that stuff. So what do you think was the difference between the courses that you were putting your money into before this aha moment and then the ones that you started focusing on afterwards?
Mm, that's a great question to ask. So mainly, here's the difference between courses and mentorship. Courses are is a form of information and a form of knowledge, which can be applied to a lot of people who are in different stages in their business. But what basically differentiates someone who fails and someone who made who basically made it to the testimonials page is their ability to apply in the right context of their business. Because, for example, if a course is there to basically teach you how to take a business from 10K to 20K per month, but you're at 0K trying to get to 5K, you can do everything in your power. But if you're working on things in the wrong sequence, that's basically in the wrong and applying basically strategies in the wrong context, nothing will work. And that can leave us lost. And the most unfulfilling thing to a high achiever will be putting in a lot of efforts, a lot of time, but getting little to nothing in return. So yeah, well, that's my answer to that question.
No, it's very, very, very good because uh, and then that kind of leads us into the next uh, area, which is really learning from the best. Because I think I think what you're saying is that a course is very there's no accountability really in a course. It's just a matter of, you go online, you say, hey, this is what I want to learn. And, I'm not saying there's anything bad about buying courses. You should, because, especially if you're in a situation where you know that that's the course you need to up level to the next level. But if you don't know what you need and you don't know where you are, and like you said, you don't have any context, you don't see where you're at right now, then the course that you're buying might not be for you, even though it's where you want to go, because it's not the same starting point, right? And you
Absolutely.
don't have, I mean, I suppose there probably are some courses out there that really have some good interaction and accountability, but for the most part, there isn't. I mean, you throw some money towards a course, and it's just a matter of you get a box and or a webinar, and you start listening, and off you go. Whereas with mentorship, you have somebody who's actually talking to you and somebody who's actually going, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying. This is where you're at. This is where you want to go. And they're creating the context for you. And then allowing you not only to only see your own context so that you can go and pick up the right courses, but they may even start to give you courses and give you things that you can take. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Absolutely, because what a mentor can do for you is amazing because what you are receiving is customized advice specific to your specific situation and where you want to be. So apart from accountability, someone can literally mold their program according to your needs, and it just gives you so much confidence and this even sense of certainty when you believe that you can simply have someone to reach out to when you are stuck. Because if you have a course, let's say you go for module 1, 2, 3, and by module 4 you should be earning XYZ, but you're not earning XYZ, and you're like, I'm stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have no one to reach out to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you have a mentor, well, that's another story. So that's why, like, I know mentors, well, the investment upfront is higher, but well, you get what you pay for. And I believe like I burned so much money trial and erroring on myself that if I were to do it again, I would probably just hire a mentor just from a get-go.
Yeah, right off the bat. Yeah. Well, and I find that there's, one of two problems that happens with most people is that they either quit too quick or they take too long to quit, right? To change
Yeah.
direction. And I think you're right on the money there with the people that are the most, with the most potential are the ones that probably hold on way too long. Right. Because like you say, you're just kind of like, you're grinding at it. You're like, I know I can do this. That guy did it. And, there's nothing special about him. He's a person just like I am. Right. How come I can't do it? How come I can't get there? And so you just keep on grinding away at the same thing over and over again. And then, it's just not getting you anywhere. And it is extremely frustrating. And next thing you know, it's not necessarily that you have to quit. It just means that you need to refocus. And like you say, I really do think that getting a mentor or maybe even a mastermind or some sort of way to get physically in front, maybe not physically, virtually in front of
Yep.
somebody who can actually interact with you, right? Does that sound right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just basically having someone that you can gain access to who's basically giving you this extra perspective, because sometimes when we are business owners, we love to work, 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 and work. But sometimes we are simply in the weeds so much that we don't even know whether we are heading in the wrong direction. Because I think about this. Let's say you are an aircraft and you are trying to fly from Hong Kong to New York. All you need to do is to basically move the head 5 degrees to the left and end up in basically a whole new different country. But if there's someone to basically check in with you every now and then to make sure that you're course correct where you need to before you actually go all the way off course, it just saves you so much time, so much effort, and makes sure that you ultimately land in your targeted destination, that being set your goals.
So what would you say, let's just say that I'm listening to this podcast, I'm like, oh geez, that's really aligning with me. I'm one of those people. I need some accountability. I need to find the right mentor. What would be the first step that someone would take to find a person that they really align with? Because I mean, not every mentor is good for everybody, right? So how would I find the one that would be right for me?
Absolutely. So I would say first off, it's going to be about getting exposure. And what I've done is that I'm simply on a hunt for, well, I'm simply a lifelong learner. Like I like the hunt for information. And I test out different podcast channels. I sometimes just watch personal development or business YouTube channels when I'm simply doing chores, washing dishes, and I hang out in basically like-minded Facebook groups. And it's simply these exposures that causes you to see that, okay, this guy's stuff gels with me. Like few people can say the same things, but one of them might gel better than you, like than the other. And that's how, like for me, it really depends on where you're at. If you're a more logical person, you might like someone who's more technical. If you go for it with more intuition, more feeling, then you might like someone because of their personalities. But yeah, I would say exposure, exposure, and exposure is something that would allow you to be exposed to eventually the right one, like the right mentor for you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. Hey, and that works for me too. So listen to more podcasts and then you'll
Absolutely.
find, but I agree with you completely because really, listening to, podcasts and other free resources is a free way for you to go around and find somebody who speaks your language, we'll say, who actually connects with you. And yeah, I agree 100% with that. Join all these groups, go searching and find somebody that really connects with you, and then that'll be a good place to start for finding a mentor. And of course, there's nothing wrong with switching mentors, right? Like, what happens if you get involved with one mentor and it's not working out? What do you do then?
Well, I would say you have to be very like, although that's quite unfortunate to happen, because I would say most of us get burnt with an investment. Not every investment works out as business owners, as entrepreneurs, especially when you're first starting out. But you really want to learn the right lessons from everything, because the fact that one mentor didn't work well for you doesn't mean that you should simply give up and stop investing into other mentors. It's the equivalent of you trying to basically drive and you get into, touch wood, a car crash. And that doesn't mean that you're simply going to walk everywhere for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You're going to learn from a lesson and basically, yeah, get another car, fix it, or do something better.
Yep. Well, I mean, another analogy I heard once is that it's like getting into a romantic relationship with a partner, it not working out, and then going, "Well, I guess that's not for me." Never meeting
Yeah,
anyone ever again, right? I mean,
absolutely.
there's a different person for everybody, and I think that taking that step and just committing to something is better than nothing, because even if that doesn't work out, you're going to learn what doesn't connect with you, and you're also going to learn some other valuable lessons. Like, for example, I mean, not every successful person is the same, and that's great. That means that you can go out there and forge your own path. If you're kind of looking around, you're like, but none of these people are like me. That's fine. You can get there too, because now you know that these successful people, you can take little bits and pieces from each one of them and then make it your own, and then go forward for the success that you want to create in your life, right?
Absolutely. And this really brings me to, I'm just going to go on a mini tangent on this, because with us being in the online knowledge industry, the online media, the online information industry, information is saturated. We are no longer in the information age, we are in the implementation age. And you can receive lot of similar information from like 3 to 5 different marketing coaches. And each of those strategies work, but they would not work unless you work. The tool can only be as good as its wielder. And what really like, and the only fail safe way for you to make any strategy work is to be able to mold it according to your situation, because everything that people teach you is simply what worked for them, but that doesn't mean that it works for you. But if you can simply take those principles, model the way of thinking, and model the way people handle challenges, which is the true essence of learning from a mentor, that way you'll more or less be unstoppable.
Wow. A tool is only as good as its wielder. That's really gold. That's really good. Which kind of leads to the next level. So now, are there any tools that you use that are very important to your success that you can share with other people?
Absolutely. So first off, as a productivity coach, here's something that might sound a little bit counterintuitive to you guys, but I don't use any overcomplicated productivity tools such as Asana, Trello, as good as they are. It's simply a convenient way to organize your mess. What's like the best tool that I can recommend to you guys is a plain old written calendar where where you simply need to be careful on what you write down on it. There's only so much spaces. You can't put folders. You can't really hide words in there. Basically, every single day, I pull out my calendar and I write down 3 things. Number one, I can only allow myself to fit in 3 things to accomplish that day. And the rest, I put in my radar. And the third thing that I do is to write down my targets. So that's it. So for example, I today is a new day. I write down on my calendar what time I put anchors in it, what time I wake up, what time I exercise, what time I go to bed. I schedule in the most important stuff first, and then I put in my work blocks. So let's say today only going to complete 3 things maximum. I'm going to follow up with my prospects. I'm going to publish one live stream, and I'm going to basically write out 5 organic content posts. And my target for a day is to be able to simply just score myself, let's say 4 out of 5 on productivity, and that's it. So I like to keep things simple. That's my first tool, a written calendar, old school, nothing fancy. Second tool, now we can get a little bit fancy here. Now we can get a little bit fancy.
Okay.
Okay, is to use trinkets. A lot of people, when we work from home, sometimes we just love to get into our comfort zone where we are floating between work and non-work mode. What I do is that I anchor myself into my work mode with trinkets. So basically what I do here, for example, is that whenever I'm in coaching mode, whenever I'm in meetings, I put on a polo shirt. Polo shirt Michael means that Coach Michael is showing up. And if I simply go on a tank top, if I simply throw on a tank top, it's like Bro Michael or Chill Michael is here. So that's how I simply regulate my states. It's actually um, there's actually a book called The Outer Ego that gives a lot of scientific basically backing onto this on the power of trinkets, and I would really really recommend you guys to simply try this out and see how this will help you basically anchor in your work mode and to allow work and non-work time to not invade each other, because boundaries is hugely important when your home is also your office.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% agree. Wow. That, and I mean, both of those things are incredibly useful. So the paper calendar, it's funny, I swore on paper calendars and I got away with it. I started using Google Calendar instead. I do the same type of thing where I have blocks of work, and I'm able to, the reason why I started using Google Calendar is because now I can move those blocks around based
Mm,
on various fires that'll come up. I mean, in my business, someone might call and say, "Oh, my website's down. I need to help it. I need it back up right now. So I need to move things around." But I will say that I was thinking about, okay, maybe I should get back to the paper calendar, because I find that, you're right, it kind of like starts to fall away, because I think writing something down, I think seeing it on pen and paper, and you're committing to something a little bit more, like with with writing down a task on in Asana or in Trello or something like that, you could just delete that and it's no big deal. But to delete a task from a paper calendar, you either have to erase it or liquid paper it out, and I think it takes more mental ability. So I think you're going to be more. I know they do say if you write down your goals, you're going to be more successful. But the trinkets is another one too, because I do know that state is extremely important, and being in the right frame of mind uh, is extremely yeah, it's extremely important. If you're not in the right frame of mind, then you're not going to come across the same way to the person that you're talking to. So you're not going to have the same type of success. And I like what you're saying about, you have a shirt, it's something that when you put that on, eventually, like, are you saying that eventually the shirt changes your state after a while,
So
or?
So it really depends on what works best for you. Some people use a ring, some people use bracelets, and I simply use a polo shirt because I'm on camera all the time. And it just gives me this it just puts me in a state, as in it's not just because of the shirts allows me to turn into basically Coach Michael or business person Michael. It's simply the way that I remind myself, okay, here's what you do today. This shirt isn't coming off until I'm done with my work blocks. So it's also a way to hold yourself accountable as well. So for example, let's talk about this. Superman or Clark Kent. Clark Kent wouldn't show up to the fight scene. I mean, or yeah, let's put it this way. Clark Kent wouldn't show up to his office wearing a Superman costume. And Superman wouldn't basically show up in a fight scene in an
His
office.
glasses.
Yeah, with his glasses and his basically office uniform, wherever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. No, I see that. Perfect. That's very good. And it's a good way to trick your mind, and it's also a good way to notify the other people in your house, because if you work from home, maybe you have kids, maybe you have some people that are trying to, get your time. Well, no, I got my shirt on. So this is business time. You're going to have to wait
Mhm.
until business time's over because right now I'm working, right? You can have
Absolutely.
those trinkets in place. I know some people I've heard of hats too, work hat. When the work hat's on, don't bug me, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. I
Love
have a
it.
friend who does exactly that. Yeah.
Love it. So this is awesome. So now it's time for your guest solo though. So tell me about your business. So how can you help us?
Sure. So basically, what I help people do in a nutshell is that I have a vision to help 100,000 entrepreneurs to create the life and business they desire and deserve. And what I do is that basically I help coach people either on a one-on-one or in a group setting, where I help people optimize their productivity and performance so that they can hit their goals with more speed and more confidence. And we do this by integrating a combination of high performance and business strategies, because success comes in two things. Number one, and if we were to boil everything down, it's really about knowing what to do and when. So you can, so when productivity, how does the productivity side come in? You can be productive, you can hit all your routines, you can regulate your energy, you're at high performance mode all the time. But if your energy and focus is being directed towards the wrong strategies, nothing works out. Versus if I can teach you the sales and marketing strategies, all the business strategies, all the approaches to do marketing, how to gain customers. But if your routines are out of whack, you're not consistent, your confidence is wavering at times, things aren't going to work as well. So that's why basically we integrate a system that basically combines business strategies and high performance strategies together. And that's what my core coaching program, the Elite Performance Program, is all about. But for your audiences, I would like you guys to simply come into my sphere of influence, because I want to simply lead with massive value upfront. So before we talk about potentially working with each other, basically on a one-on-one or in a private setting, I want you guys to simply go into www.productivityandperformance.net to come to my website and join my Facebook group, where I host free trainings every single week, every single Wednesday, to simply jam with you guys about how to basically achieve more with less, how to tune in your focus, and how to make sure that your key needle movers gets done consistently so they can hit your goals with confidence, speed, and accuracy. So there's all free. Simply go to www.productivityandperformance.net, and I can see you in basically our community of high performing entrepreneurs just like you, to network with each other, to grow with each other. And eventually, if you want to, well, because if you are racking up wins and if you want to take things to the next level, then yeah, feel free to simply reach out to me through Facebook, and we can simply chat with each other and see whether we can help each other out.
Love it. Yeah, great. And that really kind of just pulls everything together that we talked about today. So now, you've got a free community where we can go, we can take a look around, we can see some other people that are having success as well, and some other high achievers that are looking to hit their goals. And we can also get a feel for you and find out if you're the type of person that's talking our language, right? And then we
Exactly.
can decide to work with you if that happens. So this is a great free way to find out if this is the right coach for us, right?
Exactly. Because here's the thing, a coaching relationship, a client coach relationship, yeah, it's similar to dating. And what I love to do is to lead with value upfront to make sure that we gel, we have this gelability. We don't just like what I do, but you feel like we can also be friends. We can also build some long-term relationship together. That's what I believe would allow huge win-win situations to blossom.
Yep, I agree. And I like what you said earlier. We're not in the information age anymore. We're in the implementation age because you're right. The information is out there. It's everywhere. So it's a matter of, going out there, connecting with the right person and implementing the things that you can easily find on many different websites out there. So thank you very much for offering that free resource that people can go out there and get to know you a little bit and also get some massive value out of it as well at the same time, right? Thank you.
Absolutely. Pleasure.
Awesome. So it's been great jamming out with you today. This has been a good time. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much. And yeah, just parting thoughts for the audiences. No matter where you're at right now, believe in your dreams because you are more than capable of basically what you think you're capable of. Move forwards and never settle, my friends.
Absolutely. And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time with the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.